All right, hey everybody. I'm right here. I'm going to do my next episode. It is rainy and dreary out, so welcome to Tiny Trucker. We're going to do this episode inside the truck. Hello. And what I'm going to do today is, you were not going to see me. We're going to talk about leasing versus purchasing. Today's episode will be a good one for that because we're going to go to the glass. So what we're going to do is, on this panel right here, and put some numbers up and give some people some ideas of why I decided to do what I did with this truck on this nice rainy window here. First off, I do want to answer a couple questions from last time. First off, dispatched or self-dispatching, leased on. Okay, so the way I'm doing this is I'm actually both. I'm dispatching and self-dispatching. So we'll move over here so you can see me. So I'm dispatching and self-dispatching. I have a dispatching company that I am not tied to, but they do look for loads for me, and if they get me a good one, then they get a percentage. That's how that works, and I can still look at myself as well and book loads myself. Leased on, I'm not leased on. I'm running under my own authority. This is my truck, my trailer, and my authority, so I'm not leased on to anybody. Then what state am I based out of? I'm out of Alabama. I will get into a little bit about this leasing deal with Alabama. There's a problem with it. Or renting deal, sorry. What brand of ELD? I'm using Big Roads. Only reason I'm using Big Roads is what my dad's been using. It's not bad. I think all ELDs, you watch my previous episode for my deal on hours of service. And what brand of dash cam? I'm actually using a Garmin Diesel 785 LMTS navigation system. It's a trucking navigator. It has a built-in dash cam. So that's what I'm using for that. As far as reviews, I really like the Garmin Diesel. It does a pretty good job. I always double check it with Google Maps, especially where I'm delivering, so I can see how that looks. So to make sure that it's actually taking me to the right place and not down a little side street where I can't get turned around. So that's the questions from last time. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about leasing versus purchasing. First off, I'm going to tell you how I'm doing this. So this is, and I say leasing, it's not really a lease. It's a rental. The rental program that I'm using is through Enterprise. Now I'm going to be changing the way I do it up a little bit. Right now I'm renting a pickup. I'm going to continue renting these, but they do have an option for a flatbed. Now the reason I'm going to switch to a flatbed is because there's a piece that can be removed on that, and then it becomes a tractor, not a straight truck. And I'm not contingent to the straight truck length limit, which is 65 feet, I believe. So that's why I'm going to be switching. The downside of that, it does cost a little bit extra. It's not much. So I'm going to explain to you what this is. First off, and I'm going to look it up and post it in the description, but what you need to do is you need to call Joe Snellenberger out of, or Blake. Blake is also very, very helpful, out of Enterprise in Elkhart, Indiana. That's where you rent these trucks. They're DOT set up. They're ready to roll. It's an awesome, awesome solution, and I'll explain to you why I chose it over buying a truck. Joe's fantastic to work with. I can't express this enough. When it comes to customer service, I have never dealt with somebody. He's right up there with the best customer service I've ever dealt with. Joe's fantastic. Give him a call. I know there's quite a lead time on the trucks right now, so don't expect to have one overnight, but it's fantastic. So let's get into go into the glass here. And I'm going to have to keep wiping it because I'm building up moisture from this wonderful rain. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about leasing. And I say leasing, it's not actually leasing. It's renting and purchase, okay? So, here's the advantages and disadvantages, right? So renting. I have a straight cost renting. It's going to be changing. Right now, it's 21 cents per mile to rent, is basically how it works. What it's actually, basically, it's $1,050 for a month. You have 5,000 miles, free miles, is how that works. Every mile beyond that is 21 cents a mile. Well, if you take 1,050 divided by 21 cents, you get 5,000 miles. So it's 21 cents a mile is what this costs. That's it. I mean, it's 21 cents a mile. That's all it is. I am paying for insurance through Enterprise, which insurance through Enterprise is cheaper than going through like a Progressive or a different insurance company. So let's go over to purchase. Now, you'll just have to take me for the word on this. Purchasing, you have to figure in a few other things. And what I did, and it's all on the spreadsheet I made, is I said, okay, purchasing, I'm going to put away $5,000 a month on, I'm going to put away $5,000 or a year, I'm sorry, for maintenance, okay? Renting, no maintenance, okay? No pay, they cover all of the maintenance, all of the PMs, everything that's needed. The only thing you're responsible for is physical damage, okay? So, and then you can get their insurance for that. So, purchasing, $5,000, this, nothing. You do need $3,500 to put down. Now, the money doesn't go away. I think it's $2,000 of it gets applied to your first payment. The other $1,500 sits there, and it's used as for your deductible or any damages, that type of thing. So you basically get this money back, but you do need to have it to put down on the truck. This 21 cents a mile is also dependent on you have to sign it for a minimum 6 months. It goes up a penny if you just do a month to month. If you make a commitment for 6 months, then you get it for 21 cents a mile. Purchase price, $5,000. Okay, now, what I've been looking at, a decent truck similar to what I'm in, this is a Ram SLT, is going to be about, let's say, $55,000. Okay, that's all said and done. Setup, DOT, mud flaps, everything you need. Let's say $55,000 to purchase. Now, I'm assuming that you're going to trade this in every, let's say, 250,000 miles. Well, you can easily do that in 2 years. So a 250,000 mile truck, I had figured on it losing, a few years old. At that point, you're 3 years old. I was estimating you can get, and this number I was playing with, but let's just say 25,000, okay, that you can get. That means over the course of 3 years or 2 years, your truck's lost $30,000 in value, okay? That money is money you've lost, right? So now you've spent 55, you've lost 30 grand, right? When you do the math, and I'm not going to do all of the math here, but over the life of this truck, this is not including gas, but the maintenance, not including insurance, because insurance is going to be the same roughly for each one, you're going to be about, I don't know, maybe 20 cents a mile to 22 cents a mile. Hopefully you can see these numbers. So 20 cents a mile to 22 cents a mile is what that truck's going to cost you. So it's basically a wash. But now we're in a race here. The advantages of leasing, to me, is this. The way this system works is you get a new truck every 70,000 to 100,000 miles, depending on when they have one ready for you. So in that 2 to 3 year cycle of you owning your truck and driving it hard, you will have gotten, if you do the same amount of miles, you'll have probably gotten 3 new trucks. All right? In the same time you have your one old truck. Now, what that 20 to 22 cents a mile does not account for is lost revenue. I think this is huge. This is one of the biggest points or the biggest benefits of the Enterprise. It doesn't factor in the fact that if you lose a transmission, yeah, that $5,000 might cover it, but you're losing time waiting on a load. When you rent the truck, they take care of the maintenance. If it's going to be down for a long time, they will get you a new truck. So that's a big one that I didn't even factor in, but it was kind of the cherry on top of why I rented over leasing. Now, I want to talk to you about the cons on it. There are some downsides to renting a truck. So let's put cons up here. All right. The first con is no choice. Okay, and what I mean by that is you can have a preference, but you cannot pick your truck. It's going to either be a Ford F350 It's going to be a 1-ton truck, but it's either going to be a Ford or a Ram. You don't get to pick the truck. You don't get to pick the color. It's whatever's available. Like I said, you can give them a preference, but to me, that wasn't a big deal because this is a work thing. This is to make me money. I'm a diehard Ford guy. I'm in a Ram, but it's to make me money. At the end of the day, it's a wash. The other con, you can't pick the color either. The other con is if you get it set up, like I have it set up with a bed and everything in here, it needs to be returned back to them exactly this way you picked it up, okay? The downside with that is about every year to 2 years, you have to return in original condition, okay? So what that means is now I have to take this truck and I've got to take this truck and I've got to put everything back in, take everything out, put everything back in, get it all put back to stock, take it back, return it, and then get a new one and redo it. That's a negative. I mean, it kind of is. So you're gonna have to do that 3 to 4 times before you get a new truck if you buy. So ultimately, the way it works, and so we've kind of explained the benefits. You'll have to take my word for it that the math works out that way. I did it all in a spreadsheet and found that it's basically a wash, 21 cents a mile. Renting versus buying, it's about a wash. But to me, the advantages of getting a new truck, not having to worry about as much maintenance, not having to pay for maintenance out of pocket, not having to worry that a big maintenance item is going to shut me down for 2 to 3 weeks, that was what pushed me to renting. And you don't need the capital overhead. You don't need to take that out alone. Now, how does it work? Okay, well, you're going to call Joe. You're going to tell him you need a truck. They're going to get all your information. They're going to put you on a waiting list. When the truck's ready to go, they come DOT inspected and set up. Okay? That means they already have the mud flaps on them. It's got the fire extinguisher. You have to mount it, but it does have a fire extinguisher. And it has the kit with fuses and triangles, road triangles. And it has everything and the DOT inspection. So you don't need to do any of that. That's a very nice benefit of it. So you're going to come in, you're going to pick the truck up. You need to have, like I said, $3,500 to put a down payment on it. Okay? $2,000 is going to be applied to your first month. The other $1,500 sits in an account. You don't have to pay $1,500 every single time you switch to a new truck. As long as you're continuing that lease, that $1,500 just moves from truck to truck to truck to truck as you continue, barring no damage, or no, nothing like that. So that $3,500 down, and then you've got to have it insured. I can't remember off the top of my head what I'm paying for insurance, but I want to say, I'm not even going to guess. They have insurance on it. I can't. They have insurance. You can go through them. It is cheaper than anywhere else I could find. That's what I would recommend doing. So that's why I rent versus buy. If you have any more questions about it, feel free to ask, or just like I said, I'll put his number in the description. Call Joe Snellenberger or Blake, and they can help you and line it all out. And mention that it was, mention it was me that sent you there. I get a little benefit. I think I get some free miles or something like that, which I like. But ultimately, they like to know where you came from or how you heard about them. They are currently only based out of Elkhart, Indiana. But it sounds like it's going really, really well for them. So I don't see it going anywhere in the near future. Yeah, so that's the way I do it. Again, you're pros. You get a new truck every 70 to 80,000 miles. You don't have to worry about your maintenance. The way the maintenance works is you have a 2,000 mile window. You need to do your maintenance before 10,000 miles, after 8,000. And you just bring it into any Firestone or Goodyear. You bring it in, you tell them it's an Enterprise truck. They take care of all the service items, and you're on your way. So that's super nice, and you don't have to worry about any of that yourself. Joe's also fantastic to work with. I can't express that enough. So yeah, that should be it. This is we're going to call this segment and these episodes Going to the Glass. I think that's pretty catchy. So this is your favorite tiny trucker on this rainy, dreary day in Wisconsin. I'm sitting here on a Sunday afternoon, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll try to address them on the next week's episode, which we will be home for. So we'll do that episode at home, and maybe it'll be nice out. I can give you a tour of the truck and trailer. So thank you for watching.